So, you've decided you want plastic surgery, but you don't want to end up looking like an extra in a B-movie horror film. How do you decide which surgeon is right for you? Hey, welcome to my channel. So, this is it's no secret, I've had lots of plastic surgery. I'm gonna have lots more, but I've seen lots of people get really bad results. So how do you choose? This is what this show is going to be all about. Now, if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. It's down there somewhere. Hit that alarm bell. I think it's there. And to be kept up to date of all my videos and shows if you find this stuff interesting. And let's just jump into it. So I've got some notes that I've made here. Now, I've had quite a lot of cosmetic surgery. I've had hair transplants. I used to be completely bald. This is, well, no, I was bald here, I had no hair. I had hair at the back, no hair here. I've had hair transplants, which have been quite good. And I've had filler, and I've had lots of permanent makeup done. I'm getting lots more stuff done. So, but choosing the surgeon can be a bit of a minefield because there are some bad clinics out there. So I'm quite diligent. I put a lot of effort into making sure that I pick the right surgeon for any work I'm having done. So I've done this in the form of a top five top tips, although there's kind of more than one tip per top 5, if that makes sense. You'll see as we go on. So let's just get on with it. So number 5. First thing you should do is speak to your doctor. Speak to your GP before you do anything. He may tell you of some contraindications, some things you weren't aware of that will steer the type of surgery that you can have. He needs to have something on the file so that if there are any complications, it can be found out, people know about it. He can possibly even advise you on surgeons that he may know who do the work. So that's always good. So the first thing you should do is speak to your GP. Number 4. When you're making your shortlist of surgeons, check all their credentials. Now, depending on what country you're in, I only know about UK-based surgeons, but they must be registered with the GMC. Now, every country will have its own version of that. Make sure that the surgeon that you're going to visit, that you're going to consider, is at least registered, okay? And you want to make sure that they have all the appropriate insurance, and you can check this. In the UK, we have a thing called the Royal College of Surgeons, the RCS, and they have a list of things that they can go through to ensure that your surgeon is legitimate. And as crazy as it sounds, it's 2018, and we still have butchers operating with no license, possibly even illegally, and yet it happens, uninsured, and then you see the horror stories happening. You also want to check out that the clinic where the work will be carried out is registered. A lot of surgeons operate in different clinics and hospitals, which I'll get back to a little more later, but you want to make sure that where they're going to be carrying all the work out also has the required insurance and the required registration. And don't just take their word for it, look it up for yourself. I'll put some useful links on how you can check the clinic and the surgeon in the description of this video. They can show you a registration certificate, but honestly, I could forge one of those in 5 minutes on Photoshop, so your best bet is to actually check online. Take a photo of their certificate, take the certification number and check that matches with the online record. I've seen those forged as well, but it happens less in the UK because you go to jail. But check it. Number 3, doing your own research. So once you've got the information that you need and you've started to prepare your short list of surgeons, look up these surgeons' results. There are some really good websites. Real Self is quite a good one that I use, which gives you a big picture of the type of work that they have done. Most surgeons that I'm aware of are on that site. Not all, but lots. And Google them, look online, Google the doctor's name, look for feedback, forums. When I had my hair done, I went on all kinds of hair loss forums to find the best hair loss surgeon for me. Dr. Richard Rogers, by the way, in the UK. But be very careful also when you're reading forums, because everyone who has surgery will recommend their surgeon. Well, unless they have a really bad result. But if they've only been to one and they've only shortlisted one, they will always recommend that person. So kind of take what you read with a little bit of a pinch of salt, just because of personal bias. And also you'll find people will slag off other surgeons. They'll slate them and diss them because they aren't the one they chose. People love this confirmation bias and want people like a crowd. So be mindful of what you read online. Look for fairly neutral and not heavily biased reviews. A bonus tip, and this is more of a what not to do, and there's a few of these. Don't book a circuit clinic. These are clinics that have a rolling, a spin door policy. You don't know which surgeon you'll be dealt with by a salesperson. You won't get to meet your surgeon until the day of this procedure. Avoid, avoid, avoid. Ideally, you want somewhere who's got their name above the door. It's their practice. But sometimes you'll have lots of surgeons operating from one practice, but make sure they're a resident, not just somebody that rocks up in the morning. And that happens so often. Also, surgery, plastic surgery, filler, whatever you're having, whether it's a full intestinal bariatric surgery like I had, or whether it's just some Botox, don't go by price. Somebody's going to stick sharp things into you. You don't want the cheapest one, you want the best one. And if when you've gone through your validation criteria to pick the procedure that you want, don't then change that because you can get it cheaper for less work. If you can't get the procedure you need at the quality you require for the price that you want, then you can't afford it. Do you understand? Don't bring your price down and compromise on safety and quality. Save a bit longer. The number of people I see who go for the cheaper option and end up looking like a baboon's arse. I've seen some horrific lip filler and eyebrow tattoos that look like they've had zebras tattooed to their face. Seriously, do not go for the lowest price, go for the best quality and save to get the money you want. So that's my bonus tip. Okay, number 2, in things that you need to consider when you're choosing your surgeon. Location. Now, there's some debate over this. Some people will say you have to get somewhere that's close to home. Some will say don't worry about where you travel. My view is don't worry about where you travel, providing the clinic allows you to stay long enough to give adequate aftercare. Now, I've seen some cheap clinics that they'll do the procedure and they'll shovel you out the door and you're gone. You don't want to be travelling when you're ill unless you've got a very comfy car. So make sure that they've got a ward where they can keep you under supervision directly after the procedure, and then a hotel nearby for as many nights as required until you're comfortable to travel. Now, travel is going to be a little bit painful after you've had surgery. That's inevitable. So, be sensible here. But, for example, I had bariatric surgery. I stayed at the hospital or at a hotel near the hospital for 3 nights. And I weighed that up and that was fine. That was my requirement. I've had surgery. I've had my boobs done and I drove home 2 hours later under local anaesthetic. But I've got a great big comfy car and somebody else drove. So weigh up the pros and cons of having somewhere close to home or somewhere far away. What happens if there's a complication and the hospital is the other side of the world? So make sure that you consider all these things and help this information help you ask the right questions. And my number one piece of advice when you've shortlisted, you've got all your questions together, this is the number one thing you must do with all that information. Use it. You've all these questions you will have, and I'll give you some examples of things you need to ask here, okay? How long will the procedure take? How will it be carried out? What anaesthetic you'll need? Is it local? Is it general? Is there an option? What pain can you expect afterwards? How long are you likely to be off work? How long will the recovery time be? And this varies from person to person, but you need to know, you need to get all these expectations clear in your mind before you go ahead. What are the potential risks? What complications might they be? Ask this question, you have to find this out. How long will the results last? Some procedures are temporary, they're only guaranteed for 10 years, some last weeks, some last months. You need to know exactly what you're buying. Ask the surgeon about their personal complication and success rate. Don't go by the national statistics because that makes the worst and the best. You don't care about that curve, you want to know about the surgeons you were shortlisting. That's all that matters, not the average, because the average can be global. Who gives a Never, ever, ever pick a surgeon because they've got a bog off or a special offer or they're trying to pressure you into having that procedure done. Hair transplants, for example, some of the clinics I would go to, it was like buying a second-hand car. You'd be like, you'd wheel in, they're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And you're like, "Whoa, steady on." And they were so hot, pushing to get a sale. Here's the thing that I have found, and this is universally true all over the world. The best surgeons have a waiting list. They don't need to sell their services. Does that make sense? If they're that good, their waiting list might be months or even years. If they're not, if they're trying to get business, they're either inexperienced and unknown, not very good, or both. Now think about this. Do you really want to be unconscious while somebody sticks sharp things into you because they were the cheapest or they're not very good? Seriously? And finally, after all these questions and you've asked all this information and you know what's going to happen, are your expectations what you want? A boob job, is it going to do this? And this is a great boob job, but I shortlisted for a while. My hair transplants are extremely successful. My face, considering how strong my jaw is and how much it developed in a quite masculine manner, isn't that bad considering I've had no bone work done yet. Pick your surgeons carefully, set your expectations, and then you're not going to be disappointed. Make sure you understand what could go wrong and prepare for it. When I had my boobs done, now I'm quite hardcore. I don't do that recovery thing. I want to get back in the gym as quickly as possible. I'm like, I don't care, I just want to get on with it. I want to get on with my life. So I'll work from home. I will do whatever I can to get back to my life as quickly as normal. And I often push it too hard. I've nearly passed out in the gym. I've nearly passed out after having these things done. But I was prepared for it more or less. So make sure you've got some high sugar drinks ready in case you're gonna, feel faint or what have you. But prepare for what could go wrong and mitigate that. Have friends stay over, which I didn't do once, and that was a mistake. So do all that. Prepare for the possible mistakes and make sure you are absolutely clear about every step of the procedure. So that's it. That is my list of things that you should absolutely do as a minimum before choosing a surgeon to do any work on you. I really hope you find this useful. Please feel free to comment, ask me questions. Things like this, you're welcome to ask me on Snapchat or social media. I want to help as many people as I can not make mistakes, because it can be devastating. Honestly, I've seen people's lives ruined by bad plastic surgery. So there you go. Like, comment, don't like, you know what to do. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that alarm bell, be kept up to date, and I will see you guys in the very next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye. Mwah.